Okay, so here we are, ready for breaking all your rules. And actually, this might be the last time that it's actually called this. The theme is breaking all your rules. A couple of them maybe, but it's not quite clear what we're doing. But anyway, we're talking about embracing a playful mindset here today. So let's go on to the next slide straight away. We just answered this question already. So, okay, this is what I do when we do in-person things. We start off with like a ball in our hand like this, and it's very basic communication between people throwing a thing. So I have this ball, and I'm gonna say well, there's only three of us, so there's not much choice, right? But there's other two people, right? I'm gonna throw it to Chelsea, and she's gonna catch it, bump, and then you're gonna throw it to whoever you like. Oh, but you have to unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves, or it just falls on the floor.
Okay. For Charlie. Oh, I think Charlie's
Charlie, to catch the ball.
I caught it.
Okay, cool.
I did. I'm having a hard time with the
Okay, no worries, no worries.
audio
I'm
in
just
the
going to throw it back
connection,
and
so
forth
I
to
can't really
Chelsea
hear.
Oh, no,
I'm getting a lot of
you got it.
skipping in the audio.
Okay, I'm going to catch it. Hop. And then I'm going to make it really big. I'm going to make it bigger, but it's quite light, and I'm going to pass it over to Chelsea. So
I threw it to Chelsea. Oh,
okay. So she's got two of them now. Who did you throw it to? Oh yeah, both of
well,
us.
I had
Okay.
two, so one to each of you.
Hop. Okay, I caught that one there. And Charlie, you caught one as well? I'm not actually frozen. I was just pretending I was frozen. Chelsea. Whoop. Okay. Anyway, let's dive into this a little bit more. So so I have a small, tiny question for you guys before we start right into this. What is your what is your relationship with play and playfulness right now? Is it something that you consciously cultivate? Is it something that's part of your lives? Is it something you've heard something about and you're curious, or what? Just a couple of words. Chelsea.
I don't know that I necessarily, I mean, I do lots of extra activity that I enjoy. That's like physical activity related, but I don't know that I would call it play. And I feel like one thing is I do feel very busy in my life right now. I have so many things I'm trying to get done and move forward on, and I feel like I don't have a lot of time that I incorporate play. I mean, I enjoy like the bike rides that I go on, and I enjoy the mountain climbing that I do, but I don't, and I find joy in those moments, but I don't know that I bring a sense of play.
Okay. It's good. It's good to have these this question. I quite a few years ago I connected this whole idea of time together with play. When we play, time basically disappears, and when we feel like we've really got no time at all, it's a clear sign that we need to play a little bit more. This is for me as well. This is for me, for everybody, right? And Charlie, what about you? You look like you were in quite a playful space. I don't know quite what's going on there.
Oh, I have a standing desk and I sat down at it. I do not have a problem finding time to play. I'm a very playful and silly person, and I work as an elementary school teacher, and part of my day is having recess with first, second, and third graders, and I am forced to play to earn my salary. So I get to play with lots of kids. I am officially the silliest teacher at our school. I make them laugh way too much. I disrupt lessons. I cause problems, and it's my joy to do so. And that's kind of where I am. I play a lot, and I laugh a lot, and I make a lot of jokes, and I forget that some people don't laugh every day. And that kind of horrifies me to meet those people who say, "Oh, I always like seeing Charlie at recess because he always makes me laugh, and it's my time to laugh for that day." And I'm like, "What, really? You're not laughing all day? Like, what's going on?" I I'm in my art studio. I'm also an artist that is, I'm double threat because I'm an artist teacher, so I got a lot of extra money for sure. Um, and that's kind of my relationship with play. I'm really interested to meet like-minded people. I don't really feel like I need to unlock play in my life, but I found that when I had experience working with clowns, and traveling with them, and I really felt good to meet kind of like-minded people. The really hopeful, bright, kind of shining people in the world were the ones that were smiling and playing all the time, often in really dismal situations. And that's kind of my experience and
Yes.
relationship to play. I went
Excellent.
on a
Yeah.
clown trip, and it kind of changed my life.
Ah, really? With Patch Adams?
Yeah.
Ah, then you probably know my friend, my colleague Dario. You know Dario?
I know the name. I probably thought,
He's
who is it?
Italian.
Italian? I know Ginevra and Italo.
Okay. Anyway,
They're
that's excellent.
Yeah.
I will, before long, I will go on one of these clown trips. This is funny, Chelsea, this funny coincidence, because I was thinking of going,
Hmm.
I don't think I will, but going for the week in Mexico in March.
hmm Yeah, we were thinking of doing that, but it's a really hard time for my school, to go away from my school. But that's the closest clown trip to us, where I am in
Yeah.
Colorado.
Oh, wow,
Um,
wow, wow.
I
Okay,
traveled
let's
in.
roll on then, and I will like I have like a quite dense program for this session, but I always like to hear from other people in this session. It's thought of it's aimed at lots of different people. I would say it's an introduction to people that aren't so familiar with play. I
Hmm.
run a playfulness festival in Italy. It's 5 days long this year, and that is just for people that embrace play culture. And it's incredible what happens in this. Anyway, I won't even talk about this festival today. This is not what this is about. Anyway, so there's a little bit of place theory in here, which you might find interesting, Charlie, a little tiny bit. So anyway, this is Alan Watts. If you don't know Alan Watts, he's got some incredible things out there.
I don't think you're sharing the screen anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right, absolutely right. Yeah, let's go back to screen sharing.
There we go.
Yes, there we go. So here we go. So Alan Watts. You're both familiar with Alan Watts. Raise up your pinkies if you're familiar with Alan Watts. Chelsea. Okay. So Alan Watts, check him out, Chelsea. You'll love his stuff. He was you could call him a spiritual entertainer somehow. Very good gift of words and articulates his words very well and just really makes like Eastern philosophy very clear. So he talks a lot about Zen, but also a lot about Hinduism and all sorts of themes like this. Playfulness is very my idea of playfulness is very connected to the idea of lila, which is sort of like the divine play, like we are playing a game with our lives, and it's up to us to decide whether it's fun or not. Essentially, so this is what the theme of this workshop is: breaking our rules so that it becomes fun for us and not the opposite. Um, yeah, but life's not fun. All these things here, we look at them, and we make space for them. So anyway, Alan Watts, this is one of his great sentences. The real secret of life is to be completely engaged with what you're doing in the here and now, and instead of calling it work, realize it is play. So this is suggesting us that play is like a level of engagement with things, to be curious, to want to understand things more, to want to understand other people more, but just really curious about. It's almost a state beyond like asking too many questions. It's just this being present with things as they unfold. You know, we can be marveled by leaves moving in the trees, or it's capturing moments of delight all around us. And then I've popped in this quote by James Cass, who wrote this book, Finite and Infinite Games, which is a very important point. What it means is that we are a finite game is like a game of football, where there's like a definite goal and the aim is to win, right? And an infinite game, the aim is not to win. The aim is to keep the game going. So actually life and also business is an infinite game. We don't want it to end at a certain point. We don't actually even want to be the best. We just want to do our best and put as much energy in as possible and see what happens together. And what happens is that, and I'm very happy that, oh, I've forgotten his name. How funny is that? Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek, he wrote this video, Start With Why, which is also very important, though, to start with why. He's has some talks about this finite and infinite game, applying it to business. And this is very interesting because this is opening up a playful mindset into a world which actually isn't very playful. You know, business is all about getting things done, deadlines, you know what I mean? Deadlines. If you don't do it, you're dead, basically, right? The deadlines. And yeah, but I know Chelsea from the work with Bradley, and he's playful, you know, he knows how to collaborate with people, knows how to partner up with people. And it's this, bringing this kind of energy, which will make our businesses very successful in the end, embracing a playful mindset. So let's move on. I don't okay, so pop this in the chat. What do you miss most about playing in your childhood? Could be the woods. I know Charlie's a very playful person, but maybe there's something, you know, you did when you were a kid that you're not doing anymore. Let me open up the chat here a second so I can see if you pop things in there. Lots of stuff going on here on my end. Think about it, overthink about it, because we'll go through a tiny process about this in a little while anyway, and I'll explain why this is important. And still thinking, think about it.
I can respond to that question. What I miss playing about in my childhood is kind of the environments I was privileged to play in, which is a lot of nature. I was raised in the mountains of Colorado, and I'm old enough to remember the world before screens. And that was kind of what I miss, was that open-ended kind of traveling with a group of friends through the wilderness. That kind of, that kind of play is what I miss. I feel like as a child, I didn't really understand a lot of the games and the way that we were playing games. And I found myself unable to play team sports and things like that. And I found out, you know, recently that I'm on the autistic spectrum, and that kind of made a lot of sense to me, that my imagination doesn't really work the same way that the kids around me were activating their imagination. And that made a lot of sense to me. And I feel like I discovered play in a new way and kind of understood it really differently as an adult, which, you know, allowed me to be silly and play with these kids that I work with now. Whereas when I was a kid, I remember being really kind of confused and left behind with the imaginative games and things that we were doing. I was just happy to be part of it.
That makes total sense to me. I like the idea more of like indigo child rather than autistic, you know, because it brings in more of this like it's like this desire to have things that are a little bit deeper and have actually sense to them rather than just wanting to do the best for any reason. Chelsea, what comes to mind?
I think actually something similar to what Charlie said. I also had a lot of experience as a kid growing, playing outside. Like I have a lot of memories running in the woods with my cousins. And just like feeling very free. Or playing outside and like climbing trees. And just being like very present in those moments. I think I do have glimpses of that. Like, I mean, because I do spend a lot of time free, like climbing mountains and riding my bike nowadays. But I think there's just something with like the energy of like, I'm not like as totally just like enveloped in the moment as maybe I used to be. Like, I mean, I still do, but I don't think I achieve it maybe like as much as, as then. It's like you're just always in the moment.
No, I totally get you. See. Yeah. So it's what I'm interested in. We'll talk about this in a slight second. Will be reconnecting to that feeling more than the actions. The actions, because we can do the same actions and it doesn't have the same feeling, but we can reproduce the same feeling, and then it makes the actions different. We'll talk about this in a moment anyway. So just let me share today's intention to reconnect to our inner child. I use this word because it's very clear immediately. It's our playfulness, essentially, right? It's that part of us. Replacing limiting rules with joy and simple pleasures. Okay, so this is how it's going to go today. Going to share my story a little bit with playfulness, and then talk about the power of your play history. I have some games and some self-reflection and some Q&A. So let's go all the way back to 1996. So where were you, Charlie, in 1996?
I was on my own. Just I graduated high school in 95, so I suppose I was off as a freshman in college in 1996.
Okay, excellent. And you, Chelsea?
I was probably playing outside at that time because I was 87, 97. I was 9.
Okay, excellent.
So I was probably playing, so that's probably good.
Yeah. I had I'll talk to this in a second. I'll talk through it with the slides. It makes it so when I was 19, I hated school sports. I didn't get on with it at all. I felt like I don't know. I just didn't get it. I thought it was all a bit too aggressive. And anyway, when I was at 19, when I was at university studying chemistry, I learned to juggle. And in that precise moment, all of like my limitations just fell out of me. And I was like, oh my goodness, all those things they taught me, made me think that I wasn't athletic, I wasn't able to do, didn't have any coordination, or it was just a load of nonsense. So whatever I want to do, if I put my energy to it, I can do it. And that was an incredible burst of energy learning how to juggle. So obviously I'm going to ask you guys now as well. Who can juggle here? Can you juggle? Charlie? Yes. It's really hard to juggle on a little tiny screen like this.
Cannot juggle.
Chelsea. No, but
oh boy.
I don't know the percentages, but there are more people that can't juggle than can, right? So let's move on. So amidst my intense studies in chemistry, I discovered the power of play, essentially. And movement, something that I'd always cherished, apart from team sports, which I didn't like, right? I was always moving. I had a rope in my bedroom that I would climb up to go into the attic, where it was like a playroom for me. And when I had friends around, we'd always do sort of movement things together, like exercises, and also go off and explore. And so movement was always a very important thing to me. And juggling, when I was studying, it had this thing where I would study for 45 minutes and then juggle for 15 minutes, and it would completely reset my brain. And I could start afresh. It was really using a different part of my brain. And also, this is really important. Nowadays, if I'm working on the computer, I don't take so many breaks, I have to admit. So after a few hours, I'm tired if I'm writing stuff, right? So play breaks and so important, so very important. So I finished my studies and I was like, what do I do now? Didn't make any sense for me to look for a job after university. It was like, I don't want to do that. But I didn't have a plan. The only plan I had was to go to a juggling convention in France. And I went there with a friend of mine, a juggling friend of mine. And essentially, that flight was the first time I'd ever been in an airplane. I looked out the window and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Why didn't anybody tell me it was so amazing out of the airplane, right? And then I thought, like, what else is out there? And then I can't come back. There's no way. So I canceled my ticket immediately upon landing. I was 21 and traveled for 4 months. And I started off, my friend from England, he went back home. He was like, Anthony, you're crazy. What are you doing? I had like £50, $50. I don't know. It was not much money. And I didn't have a card. Obviously, didn't have a phone because in 1996, who had a phone? Nobody. So I started street performing with this guy, Pete. He made these most incredible baguettes. And after 2 weeks, he left. And he said to me, I'll share this with you as well, because I think it's an important part of my story as well. And he said to me, don't worry, Anthony. I was very worried about being left on my own in Spain, right? He said, don't worry, Anthony. The worst thing that can happen to you is that you'll die. And that's not going to happen. That's what he said to me, right? And I was like, oh my God. And strangely, that helped me through that journey, through the really tricky moments of it. I mean, I believed it, right? I mean, I know there's worse things now than death, but then it was very consoling, very consoling. And also, I realized that there's worse things than having no money as well. Like when you're traveling that way, and you're meeting people and you're very day to day, there's no time to be depressed or worried about, like, you're worried about things, but you're proactive on your worries. So there's something, so it makes you very resilient, let's say, very resilient, because you have to act. So anyway, so I was street performing. I was still shy, very shy. I didn't even want to look at people in the face then. But the more I did it, the more I was on the street, the more I became confident with it. And I met some incredible people that told me things that I hadn't studied at university, obviously, and things that I'd never even heard about life, about ways of living, and it just completely blew my mind. So anyway, last year I wrote a book about this whole experience, called Meeting Life, and it's like the inside story of like a young man street performing to find himself, essentially. And okay, let's go on. So a couple more points about my story and then we'll get cracking on. So at 23, after that, I had too many questions in my head, and for some reason I thought I have to find a yoga master. He will be able to answer my questions. I don't know why I put these two things together, right? Because it was 1996. Yoga wasn't like it is. Yoga today is basically like fitness, essentially, right? But I had this idea, that I was going to find some sort of like a Yoda, or I don't know, Mr. Mikashi, what's he called, from Karate Kid. I was looking for that sort of character, and I found after looking very hard, I found this teacher in Rome, actually Italian man. I've been studying him for 25 years, And yeah, I was, after that trip around, I was ready for a practice like that, because I was emptied. I'd completely emptied all of, like, I'd emptied everything that I'd unlearned a lot of stuff, essentially. What was what happened. So from the first lesson, I was in it immediately. And I've practiced every day, you know. It's like, and to be able to practice something like that every day, you have to develop a curiosity about your body, about your mind, about spaciousness, about timelessness. Otherwise, it just becomes a chore and you can't stick with it. You can't. So anyway, then at 24, I started leading retreats for jugglers in Italy, like a week-long retreats. And there were already incredible experiences, these working with jugglers. Anyway, let's move on. I'm quite a little bit aware of time here. So for the last 25 years, I've been living a life on my own rules, writing my own rule book and rewriting it when the old rules no longer serve me. And I don't say this to show off or anything, you know. It's what I'm saying is you can do it. And I'm not saying it's easy either, right? It's not easy, but if you don't want to compromise, then you have to make up your own rules and see how things go, right? And it's not by any means that I was privileged to do that. I didn't feel privileged. I just felt like I loved juggling and I wanted to perform. Now it's changed more into playfulness and coaching, let's say, but I still juggle there. I love it. So anyway, let's move on. So essentially, it's amazing what can happen when you choose your own path. When you take that leap of faith and embrace the unknown, life becomes an adventure and you become the author of your own adventure, your own story. Sometimes you just need to step back a little bit and look at our lives. I live in quite a crazy place in Italy here. It's like a little tiny little house in the middle of nothing, you know. There's a farmer, he has some fields in front. There's no fencing or anything. There's olive trees behind. I take it for granted. You both live in amazing places, right? And it's every now and again you stop and you're, wow, you know, what an amazing place. What all these things I've got in my head that are saying that I have to do this, I have to do that, and I'm getting all anxious and stressed about stuff. We really need to slow down sometimes and to appreciate what's going on. And it's possible. You stop and you go like, you just stop in your tracks and go, and literally, you know, like a left leaf skids on the road. Wow, you know. Okay, so let's so then you start to play with life. Okay, let's go on, and then we've got some more things to do together. It's quite content, not content, but lots of words going on here. So anyway, what is play? You don't have to answer that question right now because it's really hard to define it. But I'll give you some couple of nuggets to be able to define it. Essentially, the first thing, what is play? Is an experience where we experience timelessness, where time just goes by very quickly. You know, that's the sort of like indicator that we are playing. Anyway, so we're going to do this coordination game now that I love. So we're going to do it the easy way first of all. So both thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. And we're going to do fingers, index fingers. Up. Thumbs up. This is the easy version, eh? We're just getting used to it now. Fingers. Now, what we're going to do is like finger and thumb. One finger, one thumb. And we go 1, 2, 3. Change them. And change them. Yeah. And change them. And change them. Simultaneously now, okay? So 1, 2, 3. And the thumb down, Charlie. That's it. Anyway, this is like a little homework exercise. So the next time you go into the bathroom, don't take your phone in there with you. You do this with your fingers. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. couple of notions, and then we're gonna ask some more questions. So play, this is another definition of play, is an active form of rest. I love this, and this is what juggling was for me, right, when I was in university. So when we think, sometimes, you know, if we're like active people, we don't want to just like lay about and do nothing. We need to find something that we enjoy doing, which is using a completely different part of our brain. That's what we need to do to be able to actually rest and recover. So that sort of makes sense, because sometimes we're too full of like doing energy, you know, and we don't want to just stop and like do nothing. But anyway, so let's move on a second. Okay, so this is one, this is okay, so do you feel like this sometimes? And yeah, Charlie says, no, I don't feel like that. But let me put it to you like this a second, because it's not a bad place to be in, actually, this one here. It's like, it seems like it's a bad place because you were all tied up and you're like, you blocked in, you can't say. But this is Houdini, and he's deliberately put himself in that position so that he can have the enjoyment of getting out of it. You see? So if we're in a sticky position, then all we have to do is understand that the joy is working out how to get out of it. You know, have a clear objective. The objective there's clear, right? Get out of it. He's on a crane hanging upside down. I don't know. You know, it's a very interesting metaphor, if you like. Jugglers use this all the time. You know, it's like they set very hard limits on themselves to see what they can create. I don't know, Charlie, you're a school teacher and an artist, you know, nobody told you to do this. You know, this is like your thing that you have to work out how to work out your time to be able to do it, right? Okay, and this is another thing when we're stuck in a monotonous routine. Because our culture tends to put us into certainty, tends to want us to have that as a big value, certainty. And on the other side of certainty, we have this thing called uncertainty, which is also called variety, which is actually called surprises. You see, they both need to be pretty high. But if I don't value playfulness or variety, then I'm just going to have this very unrewarding existence, you know, where it's like I know everything, I've got everything under control, but it's not opening or blossoming. You see, we want to be able to blossom. So if I'm talking to people that are more playful, let's say, then they need a little bit of monotonous routine. Let's not call it monotonous, a little bit of structure. I don't know, you know, it's some certainty, which can, playfulness itself can give us certainty. In the way that I know that if I play, I feel good. I know if I play, I relax. So then that I have something that, even if I don't have anything in my life, I don't have any material possessions, or I don't have a roof over my, I don't know. I know if I'm not in a relationship, I know that if I play, I feel good. You know, it might sound funny, but we need these kind of like certainties, you know. Okay, and this is other one, playfulness. We know these things, right? But playful people are more attractive. You know, if you develop your playfulness, you're not gonna be, you're gonna be someone who's giving, you know, who's not giving because they're wanting to be loved, right? They're giving because they have become sons. You become a son. You know, you're shining. And in a relationship, sometimes things can get a bit, you know, routine, or, you know, a little bit like, so we have to bring back in this like small playful activities together. Or if we're not on a relationship, coming back to our playfulness can really be a big help in finding somebody, because it helps us to connect to, like when we play with people, we connect very quickly and very deeply with people. This is what I've seen much more than anything else. You know, it's people in the workplace. I mean, lots of relationships, probably most relationships start in the workplace, right? Because proximity builds a relationship. But if you're playing in proximity as well, it just makes it all just be forcing it. I'm making a case for play. Charlie knows this already, but still, it's good to know. And this is this other aspect of play, you know, where people perhaps don't think about it. If we're struggling to make ourselves heard, you know, we're in a family meeting, reunion, and we're the only person that's not talking, because everybody else is talking over us or something, or perhaps that's not the best example, because that's actually like the highest level of playfulness, when you can be playfulness in your family, or your original family, right? Which is, you know, it's full of lots of different people want to keep you in a certain role, in a certain position, unconsciously, consciously. But yeah, when we come a little bit more light-hearted, we can express ourselves much easier. And I found it very hard when I was 18, 19, to engage in small talk. I found it very hard. And I'm sure lots of people thought I was arrogant, you know, because I didn't know how to interact with it. I was like, yeah, so what? Basically, you know, like, so rude, really, but I just didn't know how to interact with it. So there is a role for small talk. Okay, I'm gonna hand it over to you guys a second. We're talking a lot. What is coming up for you right now, Charlie, with all this I'm saying about? Would you like to share something?
I can relate to a lot of what you're saying. I've been married now for 19 years, and I actually met my wife on the clown trip with Patch. And I really felt like opening myself up to love and kind of opening my heart up in preparation for that trip really allowed me to be kind of my best self. And then I met a woman there who we've been together for a long time. And so that was a connection I had with. I don't know if being a clown made me more attractive, but
More colorful.
but it didn't hurt to be kind of vulnerable, because I was out of my country. I was in Moscow. I had never traveled overseas before, and I was in a totally I'm not good in cities, being a kind of a mountain kid. And yet I found a lot of comfort there, and I don't know. I was also very quiet when I was younger, and a lot of the clowns that we travel with are very loud and kind of out there and out in front. And I found a lot of success playing in the back, so to speak, and kind of um, finding the kids who are not engaged and sitting quietly with them and goofing off with them, and kind of bringing them out a little bit, but not in a loud, enticing way. It was a real struggle to find my clown nature, because I had never been a clown, and I didn't have any training. I just kind of showed up, being a goofy guy. Um, yeah, I endorse play for everyone.
Excellent, thank you. Chelsea, what's
Um,
coming up for you right now when I'm talking about all this stuff, we're talking about all this stuff together?
I think my like I don't know. I mean, I think my I struggle to use the word play with it, but I feel like it's my most connected, joyful, present moments is like when I'm just like moving through, you know, mountains or nature on my own. And I'm like in that, and I feel like that does feel playful, because to me it feels light.
Yes.
You know, it's and so Yeah, I think it's just like a total, just like genuine, openness. So I think, yeah, I think I struggle knowing how to incorporate it in like other places, but I feel like that's the way that I'm currently connecting with it, like with that
Excellent.
feeling.
Okay, I'm going to go on to this slide here, which makes total sense for us now. So we all have a play personality that was present when we were young. So most people, when we think of playful characters, we think of the Joker, you know, the jester type, the out there, you know, the like noisy clowns that Charlie was saying, you know. But there's, I say there's 9 of them because this is what Kirsten Milliken says in a book, Play DHD, which is, I really like this, you know. Play is the way out of ADHD. Anyway, this is what usually I like this. Really like this book. Anyway, so we have, it helps us to understand how we play and not judge the way we play, you know. So we have the Joker, the kinesthete, the mover, explorer, collector, director, competitor, artist, creative, storyteller, and performer. So and they all have a shadow side and they all have a healthy, playful side. When we don't, when we're not competitor and we're not connected to our playfulness, we want to win at all costs. Essentially, that's what happens. So what you mentioned just now, Chelsea, about this is more of an explorer type. You see, your play personality is probably exploring. So then it's like how, sorry?
That resonates.
Yeah.
Because
so
I
how to
like
get
that's
more...
my feeling since I was a child, is that's why I enjoyed, I think, being outside is like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like how to have more of that exploring energy in my life. For sure there are other play characters present. We don't have the time to go into this right now, but it's let me share this next slide here because it's so, you know, there's all these different ways of getting to know yourself: Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, Strengths Finders, all of these ones here. But I find that like really understanding our play personality and applying it to our working model just aligns us more with like who we are. So we're much more likely to do our job well, much more likely for it to work, and much more likely to be satisfied by it. Yeah, Charlie.
Can I ask about that book again?
Kirsten Milliken, Play DHD.
Play DHD, and
Yeah,
that has
Kirsten. I think she's amazing.
The 9 types of okay,
Play
thank you.
personalities.
Okay.
They originally there were 8 personality types. I like 9 because she talks about 9. I think storyteller and performer are different kettles of fish. But the Stuart Brown is the person who first formulated these 8 personality types, and he also noticed that what all these like mass murderers had in common is they were all play deprived as children. So for one reason or another, you know, when we're not playing, we are socially inapt. You know, we're not able to interact socially, become completely asocial. So but this is the work I'm bringing now with me into the world. Is this thinking about really connecting to, it can be what we did, but it's more the style, the play personality, but it's also the feeling, coming back to the feeling of it. Okay, so I've been talking a lot. I don't normally talk quite so much, but I've appreciated your input. So anyway, just gonna have a quick shake out. Stand up and just a second. Just shake your bodies out a second. Have a bit of a shake out. Okay. So at the beginning, we already, oh, funny cat noises. At the beginning, we already connected with what we used to like to do as children. So we've already got that. So remember what you said at the beginning. And now we're just going to do a very brief meditation on this. Just a couple of minutes. Just you close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes, but if you feel in a safe space and it's okay for you, close your eyes a second and just go back to when you were playing. So when you were like running through the forests or whatever it was you were doing, and just really connect to the feeling of it. Also the place, imagine everything around it. Allow your body sort of relax a little bit into this, feeling the sense of wonder, the excitement. Notice how time seemed to disappear. So really dive into a mode. You're really there doing it now. In your imagination, you're there. It might not be like a film in your head, but you know, you're there with your attention. So what are you doing? Realize what you're doing. What are the sounds? What are the smells? Are there anything you can touch with your fingers? Are you laughing? Are people laughing? Are you focused? How is your body feeling? Are you energized? Are you feeling free? Is there joy? Just allow these feelings to fill you up completely. Okay, so without losing this feeling in our body, we just come back to where we are now. And see, it's just, that's like a little seed bridge back to that feeling there. And at one point, we stopped playing. You didn't, Charlie, okay? Most people stopped playing for some reason or another, you know. It was like, grow up, be older. And to be able to actually come back to our playfulness, we need to go back to the feeling. And there's a tiny little process that that we'll go through now, which is essentially it's that little kid that was running around free. What if he could come and or she could come and talk to you now? What would the words be? What would they say to you? What would their encouragement be to you? Can it also be just a sensation, you know? It's like, and the other side of this is you as an adult now. What would you say to that kid who's free then? How would you encourage your younger self to keep playing, or whatever it is you wish? Okay, so this is a funny little work. It's a little bit magical, but it's planting a seed which will help us to bypass this bridge where we stopped playing. And in other sessions, I've put a lot more energy in like this moment when it stopped, and I got everybody to work out when was that moment they stopped playing. But it's a bit intense. You know, it's a little bit intense on like a on a brief call like this. Okay, so how do you feel now? So we have to just to bring this into bring this really into our body, because you have a sensations in your body now. Just make a gesture and a sound. It could be like, woo, yeah. Make something which gives that like a little kick of emotion in it, you know, not like yeah, which doesn't, you know, like really like something that busts out of it a second. You can do it on mute. There might be other people hear you, but who cares, you know? Just make a joyful sound. They know you're on a call, on a playfulness call or something.
Woohoo!
Okay, I think you could do a little bit, just a tiny bit. I know, Charlie. I don't want to like, just a tiny bit more, You could do it sideways or however you like, but like a bit more. Wow. A little bit longer and a tiny bit louder.
Woohoo!
Yes. Okay, cool. Chelsea. Okay, you have to unmute yourself and do this now.
Okay. Yippee!
Okay, with your arms as well.
Okay. Yippee!
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. It's somehow embarrassing, right? Of course, it's embarrassing, but oh, there's this whole other thing. You know, this is a gesture that helps us open up. You know, these sort of things. Okay. Let me just go briefly over this thing here without going through the process, because like we're going like, I don't know if you have to. Do you have another 5 minutes, or you have to jump off? Yeah,
I have 5
Charlie?
minutes.
Okay. What are the rules you need to break? So we come back to our playfulness now, and then we look at our lives maybe. And there are some rules that we need to break, right? And Charlie will look at them and be like, no, I don't have to break any of these. But maybe there's one of them. I don't know. It could be. Or something else comes to mind. Because I see playfulness as a scale, right? It's not like we're not playful and we are playful. You know, it's there's always like another level. There's always like a sticky bit somewhere, you know? So anyway, let me just read through these. It says external pressures and societal expectations. I must always be serious to be taken seriously. Plays for children or adults. These are examples, okay? I must always be productive, no time to play or have fun. I have to be, and then these last two are very interesting. I have to pretend to be interested in conversations I don't care about. And I have to pretend to care about the things that truly matter to me. You know, these last two, they're like, whoa. So perhaps there are other rules though, but I'll ask you in a second because I'm always interested. And these are more internal pressures and personal barriers. I must always appear strong. I mustn't show my weaknesses. I can't make mistakes. I can't take risks. I must control everything. So, okay, without overthinking this too much, what do you think is like a rule that you could really do with breaking, Charlie?
That's a good question. A lot of the kind of rules that you just put up, it sounds, they're very, you know, like when I think about how I don't follow those rules, that's a large part of my like transformation as I started doing clown work and kind of like giving myself permission to be silly at work. But I work in a pretty silly place. I rules, I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel kind of fenced in by a lot of rules or expectations. And I'm trying to think of, I don't know.
Yeah, don't force it. Don't force it. There's no point forcing it, like inventing them. I'm gonna invent a rule now. No, don't overforce it. But like, just realize that just give yourself the opportunity that there might be something. Chelsea?
I resonate with, you know, I think on the slide prior, like I'm very time limited just due to the nature of my work. And I'm like at home very little right now, and I spend a lot of time in the mountains, and I feel like when I'm here at home, I struggle with like I feel like I always need to be productive because I feel scarce of my time. Um, and so I think that's a rule that I need to work on my own. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. Thank you. So let me
Yeah. And like anything that's not productive, I feel like this is not worth my time right now. So
yes.
I mean, yeah, it's yeah, it's a good thought to keep in mind.
Yeah, because we don't know, and it's very like the rational mind is not playful. It's like not. It's
Hmm.
just like the nature of it is to be analytical, dissecting things, you know. The other
Yeah.
part of our mind, the right side of our brain, is more encompassing. It's more wanting to be in connection with, and to be um really productive, we need to have both of these parts of our brain. Like productive, like understand what we mean by that as well, like being productive, you know. We are human beings, not human doings. This is what some people say. So this is life on Playful button. I keep needing to change the slide. It's vibrant body. uh, this is how I see the playful path. We have the vibrant body, energetic, you know, we have energy in it, we're able to act. We have a joyful mind, which is able to think correctly, think, talk to itself in a way that we become a manifester and not a destroyer, right? And then we have loving heart. So we're coming with a desire to connect to other people. When these three come together, poof, then we're on the playful path. So if we don't have the loving heart, we risk becoming spiritual assholes. If we don't have a joyful mind, we risk just being all over the place with our emotions. If we don't have the vibrant body, we risk not being able to act in the world, even though we want to. So really need all of, and if we don't have any of them, I don't know. You know, if we don't have any of them, we're like most people, just like getting by, you know. So okay, so I'm just gonna share these last things with you. I have this particular talk here right now leads into a 4-week program that I have in June, which is called let me go through it. It's called Courageous Playful You, and it's split up like this. There's the first week is authentic self-discovery, which is more about this play personalities and our play history. Second week is playful vitality. I have a colleague who has a brilliant TED talk, check it out, called Why Working Out Isn't Working Out. You know, it's all about bringing more fun into exercise. And then lifestyle transformation, which is joyful mind. Start with the lifestyle that we want in our work. You know, Charlie seems to have got this down, you know. He wants to be playing and he wants to do his art stuff, and you know, whether that was conscious decision or not, we don't know. We don't have time to dive into that now, but I'm sure it was. And this is a little bit like how it's structured. There's these weekly meetings. There's some challenges in between sessions, and video and book recommendations. Oh no, it's not in June. So that's the Italian version in June. This is in April, Thursday the 3rd to the 24th at this time. And I put this slide up here, but really it's not in my intention to put pressure on anybody. So I hope you don't feel like I am. So it's right now it's 50% off this course. And oh, I should share the course page a second. 1 second.
And this takes place in Italy?
No, this is actually online. I
Oh,
am
okay.
I'm creating retreats and things around this theme now, what I said at the beginning is a playfulness festival that I run.
And where is that in Italy? The Playfulness Festival.
Oh, it's near Rome. It's near Rome. Giocosamente Festival. I'm finishing work. I'm working on the homepage now. It's let me write it in the chat. Hang on, I can't do 500 things at once. 1 second, sorry. Oh, I can't show you the landing page. I don't know how to do it. Anyway, so where's the chat gone? Chelsea, like, yeah, the tech of these things is really tricky, eh?
Yes.
That's the name of the festival I run.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, and it's I still need to tweak some tiny little things on there, and but it's and let me find some other things I'm gonna pop in the chat. And this, I'll send you these things anyway in another email. And this is more the like the retreat which I'm coming up with now. Oh no, I didn't write the www. So and so my very last slide, essentially, apart from the Q&A, is a that's not that one. Oh, well, I've lost everything completely now. Anyway, it was just like another suggestion for this workshop name, which another suggestion I have for it is rewrite your rule book the playful way. That doesn't quite feel now. But if you have any suggestions right now, like what the hell was this workshop about? Like, this is what I'm interested in hearing from you now as well.
I kind of like the breaking the rules. Like incorporating like the concept of play, or like playfully breaking, something with play, but like the breaking the rules, because I think a lot of people recognize that they might want to live more lightly, but like feel sometimes like, whether it's they feel like in rules or things that they feel like they have to do, or like things are holding them back, or the barriers that you talked about. I think a lot of the things are like widely relatable, to a lot of people who like, I want to live lighter, and like, what kind of rules can I break free of, in order to do that? Like, even like you said, like, when I juggle, I become free, or like, when you were like your stories of like, when, if you don't die, like that was like, it's going to be okay. Like you realize all the things that can happen. And really, those are like rules we have in our head, that aren't real,
Yeah,
and it's,
exactly.
and sometimes like we just don't know that we're even following them. And those are the things that like keep us trapped on it,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like a lot of the things that you had, like, me also like go along those lines of like breaking free of those things that are keeping you from feeling playful, and light.
Break all your rules to feel more playful, something like that. Yeah. And Charlie, and then just then ask just another question. Charlie, what do you think? What is this session been about?
It's very interesting to me because I often want to present this kind of I feel like I'm in this mindset already, and it brings me a lot of joy. It helps me get out of obstacles and difficult situations. I like, I want to, I'm in a unique situation where like I didn't know that a bunch of neurotypical people were out there like not doing this work. And I thought that everyone was working on aligning their lives with things that best suit them and making decisions according to like the world. And what I learn is that people often are really making a lot of life decisions about these kind of imaginary consequences, like, oh, I can't do that because they'll say this. And like they are imaginary people, you know, I've never met them, those people that talk about everything I do. Um, and the people build up these narratives that are based on, they're just stories to help them understand the world, but they're kind of not based in reality. They're based on other things. And I feel like a lot of my journey is kind of understanding that those are just stories that people tell themselves. And that's it. It's just a story. It's not real. It's not, I'm trying to think of an example while I'm talking, but
It's
you
not
know,
easy.
like my wife comes up with, well, it's Thanksgiving, we have to do it this way, you know, kind of thing. And I'm like, well, you know, we're adults. We did, you know, we can eat whatever we want and invite. I don't have to go to my mom's house, you know. I can have a friendsgiving. Like we can open, like the world is open to us. And I
Yeah.
think when you said, think of a time when you were playing, as a child, I really kept coming back to this time when I ran on the beach for the first time because I had never been to like a sandy beach that went on forever. And this was in Nebraska at Lake McConaughey. So it wasn't even like a real ocean beach. I had never been to the ocean. I had only been wearing boots in the mountains for my whole life. And here I was barefoot on the beach. And I just like, it occurred to me I could do anything. Like I could run just I could run as fast as I could run without tripping and breaking my head open, or without dodging trees and jumping over rocks and bushes, which I also enjoy. But I, you know, like I felt so unlimited. And that's what playfulness kind
Limited.
of opened up. I just felt unlimited.
I
Um,
like that.
Mm,
and,
mm,
and that's what I was like ruminating on and kind of thinking about is that
Mm.
unlimitedness. And once you drop all these narratives and stories, you realize like it's wide open what you can do. And I do that at, I think that's kind of what I bring at work. I work with a lot of overworked, well, I'll say women, you know, because I'm the only male at my school, or close. I'm the only
Mhm.
cis male, you know, and always worked with all women, and they're really,
Mm.
this is not a woman thing, but they're all people get really caught up in their work environments, and it seems so urgent and so important. And I just always, I help people by just reminding them, hey, let go of that. Like you don't have to hold that and carry it around with you because your kids bombed the spelling test, you know, like or your happy kids who are healthy and feel safe didn't do your grammar lesson, you know,
Mhm.
like they're happy. And like, you know, now I'm actually the art teacher now. I've moved into that position from being a classroom teacher. And I recently had a meeting with my head of school where I said, I'm really, if the kids are happy and safe and feeling good, that's now my highest priority. Like
Mm.
only when they are there can I start doing instruction. And
Mm.
so if I don't get to my instruction because I'm so busy cheering up these kids, you guys are gonna have to live with that, you know, because there's
Mm.
no one else in line to be a teacher.
oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's brilliant.
Oh, that's beautiful. Everything you just shared, Charlie.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I want to bring this to my group and kind of like, so I'm taking notes.
Mm.
I'm stealing your book ideas and I'm gonna read up and like I want to present this kind of information to my group.
Yeah,
So
no, no, no.
I don't
Mhm.
know.
Oh,
I don't know if I came here as a pirate. I'm stealing your content and
no, 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 that's okay. That
I'm
the I'm gonna stop the recording now. Anyway, we could continue this a few minutes.
Mm. Mhm.
Is there a stop recording button? So if you've, I don't know, I always like undecided. I probably will put this recording up there. And if anyone's come this far, then congratulations. That's all I can say. Like, follow through and become more playful.